me an amazing, amazing player in the world of creating healthy homes and bodies. I can't wait to introduce you to Lindsay Dahl. Welcome.
I'm great to be here.
Good. Lindsay, I was wondering if you could just briefly share with Choose Wiser Nation what you do and who you work for right now.
So I work for Safer Chemicals, Healthy Families. We are the world's, our nation's largest coalition working to get toxic chemicals out of consumer products. And we're a coalition that has grown over the last 5 years to include 450 organizations and businesses that have united together to say, we're asking Congress and we're asking retailers to really help us fix this problem of our exposure to chemicals in everyday consumer products.
What's it like to connect and communicate this massive group of organizations?
It's really fun, and like you said, it's inspiring, because if you think of where the environmental health movement was 10 years ago even, a lot of the big groups, environmental groups in Washington, D.C. were working on this, but a lot of the different, other groups like cancer groups that knew something was going on hadn't really integrated. And so what we've done with this campaign, which is really fun, is we've helped connect the dots. So parent groups weren't working with learning and developmental disability groups, which weren't working with environmental justice groups and the environmental community. And we've kind of helped create bridges between all of those different communities in a way to say, we know that when we work together, we're stronger. And we know that as a nonprofit community or nurse advocates or what have you, we all have limited capacity. But if we're all singing from the same sheet, there's a lot of power in that. And I think Congress and the grassroots community at large or retailers have really taken notice to say, this is interesting that all of these different organizations that may not have talked to each other before are now united around this central cause.
So Lindsay was the key mover and shaker that basically brought me to Washington, D.C. last year, allowed me to give a press conference in the Senate building. It was an incredible, incredible day. But one of the pieces that I was witnessing that day after we did the presentation was going from senator to senator and talking to them. And I was right there, and you could see their reactions when they saw the amount of women who came together. I can't remember how many was on the petition.
Over 100,000, yeah.
And their eyes were like, oh, the power is in the numbers. And they would start looking through it, and they wanted to know, well, what coalitions, what states, where are these people from? Are they in my areas? And that's what was getting them thinking. So I love this idea that you're bringing them all together. In my passion and my love, obviously, it's with Choose Wiser Nation. It's the mainstream women coming over. It's educating. I never in my life thought for 1 second I would be working with our elected officials. That scares me. Talk to us. Can they change? How do we talk to them? Does our efforts as an individual me impact these elected officials, and how and why?
Yeah, so I totally get it, because I came into this world, I was doing environmental education because I cared about the environment. I knew education was important. But then early on, I was in my early 20s, I got a job doing an internship, doing policy work for global warming and renewable energy. And I was like, I hate politics. I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole, but I was young. I was just trying to get some experience. And I realized very early on, I think I was 22, that if you pass a law, you can educate everyone to change the light bulbs or something, or you can pass a law that, sets goals to reduce carbon emissions. That has a huge impact. And so I realized early on that politics is gross, and I get why people are turned off by it. But policy is different than politics. Good policies are banning smoking on airplanes, child-safe car seats, stop signs. Those are good laws that protect us. And I really realized the fundamental value in, really smart laws that protect the public and how important that was. And so for me, I've found that speaking to our elected officials is way easier than we think it is. It seems scary, but their job is to listen to us, and it's our job to speak up. And so if you do so in a way that's respectful and constructive, they're really, really receptive. To your point about all of these petition signatures that elected officials were starting to look through to see how much support there is for strong laws on toxic chemicals, one thing that I've found is that we just have to let them know what the rest of the world and what the rest of the country and their state and community are talking about. Because Congress really is a bubble. And our job at Safer Chemicals Healthy Families, or individuals sitting at our kitchen table or talking to our friends, is to help kind of dissolve that bubble, to say, guess what, Washington, we're thinking about this every day when we use these products in our homes, when we use these products on our children. And you need to know I'm thinking about this all the time. And that simple message really gets our elected officials to wake up. And, you know, I'll say in 10 years of campaigning, I've seen individual voices move elected officials all of the time.
If people wanted to make changes, it seems like I've seen more examples of things starting to roll at lower levels or even state levels, but still that starts to make rumbles. Would you agree, or do you have insight on that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. So my background is doing state policy work, and I started in Minnesota.
On BPA, right?
Yep, on BPA.
Which has made huge progress.
Yeah, huge progress. I mean, you know, it started the conversation. People didn't even know that there were chemicals in plastic 7-8 years ago. Some of the most robust and wonderful steps forward to protect public health have come from the states. And so there's a lot of states, not all of them, but a lot of states that have been passing really good protective laws. And if people want to get involved and see a little bit more faster progress, they can do so with their state partners. And going to our webpage, saferchemicals.org, people can find out which state group to kind of plug into.
So I've talked to my state representatives, I've talked to my town representative, and every time I've gotten my foot in that door, they simply didn't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's intimidating if you think about meeting your elected official or even calling them and, you know, what are you going to say? You're not an expert. You don't have to be an expert on the science. You don't have to be an expert in the Hill. All you have to do is be an expert about your story and your life. And that's easy to do, to tell the story of how you think about these issues and why you're concerned about them. And it's up to them as an elected official to make the right decision. And we hope as an advocacy community and the public health community that they're going to advocate for laws that protect public health. And yeah, all you have to do is tell your story. It's really that simple, and it's really that powerful as well.
The kids right now who are in high school, all of the children, the nieces and nephews, your neighborhood kids who are in high school, somewhere out there is our president in 6 to 8 terms from now. Is our senators, is our local officials. They just don't know it yet. So in an incredible way that we have an impact is role modeling and talking, and, you know, not telling them they have to be their president, but the values that we're instilling and what we're role modeling as women, and, you know, projecting, and then these kids are learning from us, and they will be. I mean, sometimes I think that's the only way to get through this, is bringing them up through, and that's how I'll pop that bottle.
You know, I like that you said that, because one thing that's so hard in today's climate and today's political world is that because politics turns so many people off, it's hard to talk about even within your home. And I think if we can change the conversation away from politics, away from all the gross stuff, and focus instead on what does it mean to participate in democracy. And that means showing up for elections and talking about those lessons with your kids. To your point, you know, we are raising the next generation of leaders. And if they understand the value in democracy and the value of constituents weighing in with their elected leaders and the value of grassroots power, you know, creating the change that we want to see, imagine how powerful that is.
At the bottom of this blog, you can also find everything you need to know to follow Lindsay and the Safer Chemicals Healthy Family organization. And I really do hope that you're able to stay in touch and follow them to keep in tune with this unfolding topic as well. Thank you so much for coming here today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Enjoy the journey.